Hello, this is Douglas Robinson. I am a solutions consultant with Beyond 20, and today we're going to be demonstrating how to create a pop-up with custom buttons. To do this, we're going to create a new one-step, and I'm going to name this custom pop-up. This is going to be a none-association one-step. And of course I'm going to add a show a pop-up step. Now standard on pop-ups will have a message box pop-up, which is very similar to any pop-up that you've seen throughout Cherwell or other .NET applications. You also have the option to give your pop-up a text box, which is similar but different, in that you can actually select the text that shows up in the box, and you can also display rich text or images as well. We're going to be demonstrating how to set up a command button message box, which will have custom buttons, which you can define in the buttons screen over here. So once I've defined my prompt in the general screen, I'm going to go to the buttons screen. I'm going to add a few buttons. Now here in the pop-up button editor we have a few options. We can define the display text and the result value, as well as whether or not this button shows up or whether or not it cancels the one step. Display text and result value are both token based, so you can have these be dynamic. The result value function, by the way, is a very important feature because we can tie it to a variable. So I'm going to create a few buttons for creating a couple of different types of records. For an example, so I'll add a button for create an incident. I'll add a button for create a change request. And then I'll add a button to cancel. And now I'm going to store my result values in a variable. And then I'm going to define some logic based on the variable that I've just set up. So I'm going to create a business object step for the scenario in which someone has selected to create an incident. So if our object type variable, which we just set up, is equal to incident, we will create an incident. And I'll add another step here so that if our variable is set to change request, we will create a change request. Alright, so here we have a pop-up with custom buttons that's storing the result of those buttons into a variable, and we have two actions that are dependent upon that variable. If I run this pop-up action, or this one-step action, I get my prompt as well as the buttons that I've defined. Canceling cancels the one-step, of course, and the other options here will create either an incident or a change request, respectively. So this has been a very simple explanation of what you can do with a pop-up that uses custom buttons. I personally think it's a great alternative to using a prompt. If you had to use a lot of prompts on the older versions of Cherwell, you may find that pop-ups with custom buttons are a fairly nice looking way to get information from a user in the Cherwell Rich client. In addition to that, you can configure a pop-up to use radio buttons instead of command buttons. But that's really up to you. So here's what this would look like with a radio button. As you can see, it kind of looks like a form that you might fill out. You select a radio button and then you press OK. Then the action that you've selected would still run, whether you'd select it as a button or as a radio button. These do display quite differently in the portal, so you'll have to be aware of that. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments section below this video. And if you'd like to see other videos like this one, feel free to subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/beyond20llc.